We are finally here, the tournament where only the top teams in each region get invited. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the mid-season invitational predictions. It's time to take notes and prepare as we dive into the predictions for each of the groups. So, let's get into things right now. So let's jump right into our first prediction. We have Telecom 1, or T1 as they're known, taking on Saigon Buffalo, the VCS second seed versus the LCK first seed. This is a bit of an interesting one, as the first seed, Gigabyte Marines from the VCS, are not actually at MSI, they're at the C Games instead. So the second seed is at this tourney. Now, obviously, the second seed is coming in as probably the weakest team. Although their region seeding is quite high, they are probably very weak. And it's kind of sad to say that, because the former Fengvu Buffalo, as they used to be called, have had success at Worlds, but I just don't rate them here because they aren't the champions, and going up against a team in Telecom 1 who did not drop a singular game during the regular split, and then that very, very dominant playoffs as well, you kind of have to put your money on the LCK squad here, and that is where I've gone. Our second matchup is Team A's versus Detonation Focus Me, and it's a very interesting matchup because it's the first time for the Ace team from the LATAM region head to an international stage, whereas Detonation Focus Me, the LGL big boy representative, this is not their first rodeo. As such, you kind of have to look at them with a bit more favour, as their roster, in my opinion, has kind of maintained their strength. Udapon, big name. Steel and Evie, also big names from the LJL, and it's kind of why you can see them as this strong squad. They've maintained the core that's done so well before at international events, and as such, you kind of have to favour them going up against Team Ace. It's finally time for the LEC to take to the stage as G2 Esports take on the LCO representative Order. Now, if you don't know anything about this Order lineup, because let's face it, they're the other side of the world, big thing to say is one of the players that was at MSI on Pentanet in BioPanther now is on Order. So he is the top laner, and you kind of see where I'm heading here. This is a bit of international veterancy for a player, and he is going up against arguably one of the strongest top laners in this tourney. Broken Blade probably will demolish him though. He's very good at doing that, and you can kind of see where this prediction's going. I've gone with G2 winning this one, as a Pool 1 team is about to demolish a Pool 4 team, and I kind of feel bad for Pentanet. They're in this sort of group of death sandwiched between the two Western teams, and you know, when you're in a group of 3, the games get harder. You have to play the same team over and over again, and usually the same result comes out because either they figure you out or you maybe figure them out, but it's usually whichever team gets the lead in the group maintains control. We saw it with RNG at MSI last year, we'll see it again this year, hopefully from the Western squads. G2 make their first back-to-back games, as this time, instead of them facing off against Oceania, they go up against the North American representatives in Evil Geniuses. Now, I'm just going to say it here, pretty much everyone predicted EG in the finals against TL after the mass roster swaps and the EU players coming over to NA. Now, we look at these two teams, it isn't the first rodeo for most of these Evil Geniuses players. They have a literal world champion on their lineup and the former LEC MVP. This is pretty much a very close battle. And for G2, they're probably going to have to deal with fatigue after probably a grueling matchup with the Oceanic representatives. I think that they're actually going to lose this game to Evil Geniuses, as EG will have the knowledge of how G2 want to play and probably will attack it very effectively. Now, whether or not NA flop on the international stage yet again, only time will tell. But my brain is saying here EG beat G2, even though Caps and Yankos probably will step up and destroy Inspired and not allow him to play his game. Anyway, that is halfway through the day one. 2 more games to go. It would not be an MSI without the current MSI champions, as Royal Never Give Up take to the Rift as they take on the Istanbul Wildcats. And you know, the roster is a lot more different to how it was last year, where Chemtank dominated the meta and Udyr was just tearing everyone apart. Now, Xiaohu returns to the mid lane and is looking to continue his team's success up against the Istanbul Wildcats, another team who made it to to MSI last year, whom didn't realistically perform overly too well, but they were middling of the pack as a team. Now they face RNG, whom are very strong and arguably are the favourites in this matchup, hence why I have gone with them winning this game. So it's time for Brazil to take on the Taiwanese representative, or the PCS representative in PSG Town, as Red Candice do battle with them. This is going to be quite an interesting one, as a Pool 2 team take on a Pool 4 team, I do believe. And you know, Pool 2 has 3 teams, EG deserving obviously of a Pool 1 seed. PSG, solid performers, deserved the Pool 2. And then you have VCS, second seed, who I would say is a Pool 4 sort of rep. Now, statistically speaking, PSG are a very solid squad. They lost River during the off-season to Dignitas, but they have picked up 2 players, honestly, that have been very impactful. They have a new Korean mid laner in Bay, as well as Pretender there as well. Now, whether or not this lineup is as strong as what they used to be is hard to tell, but they've kind of maintained Hanabi, Unified and Kaiwing, still the same bot lane. You cannot say they're not that strong anymore, especially considering they're going up against the Brazilian representatives, who I would honestly say had a bit of a troubling start to the spring split, but they bounced back, they came back stronger, and they're here at this big tourney. And you know, I can only give favour to PSG here. Their roster is slightly bigger, and honestly, I think have the bigger name power to them, and that's why I've gone with them winning this matchup. It's time for a bounce back game as G2 take on EG yet again. We're going to see these two teams face off quite a few times, aren't we? Now, I'm just going to skip the preface on this game and just say I predicted a G2 win here, and screw it, I might as well do the next game EG order. This is the first time we're actually going to see these two teams face off, and I feel that it's the same sort of story I've gone with in the previous day, or ordering G2's matchup, I went G2, then G2 lose to EG. I've done it the opposite way around here, where G2 beat EG, but EG beat Order. That is how I see that going, as realistically speaking, EG will want to fire back stronger than ever. DFM versus Saigon Buffalo is the next game, and you know, this is gonna be pretty interesting because Saigon Buffalo are a second pool team, and yeah, I'm a bit shocked by that, and honestly, I don't think that they're that good, so I've gone with a DFM win. DFM tend to have a very decent record at international events, and I personally think that they're gonna give a little shimmy shake to this Saigon Buffalo team. Aces versus T1. I want to keep this one short and sweet and just say T1 win. T1, believe it or not, probably are gonna win every game in their group. There's no sort of competition in my opinion for them. So yeah, I've gone with them winning this game. Istanbul Wildcats versus Red Candice. I honestly think this will be quite close, but not one of them appealing matchups for anyone really. So, who have I gone to win it? I've gone with the Istanbul Wildcats. The issue with doing predictions this early on, you can't really say which region's going to be stronger until you've seen a few games, which is why I like the Rumble stage, because I have a bit more knowledge of the matchups. This one, it's a coin flip matchup, so it's why I've kind of just tried to not give too much of an analysis breakdown. The final game of day number 2 is PSG and RNG. Probably the most interesting matchup of day 2, other than say the G2 EG1. This is probably one of the closer ones, and yet I still feel the LPL will shine strong. There's no other team here in that group I feel are as competitive as RNG, and as such, I've got to give them the win here. We are 6 games away from the end of the first round robin, and let's just say this, Group C is about to get a bit more spicy, as Order take on EG in the opening matchup of day 3. You can tell where I'm going if I've said a bit spicy, as I've gone with an Order win. Because let's be honest, you just gotta give them something. I don't think that they're gonna have the Pentanet experience, where they are struggling to pick up a game in the group stage. I think that this is gonna be a little easier if they're taking on the North American squad here, and yeah, that's why I've gone with them winning here. As for their return stage matchup against G2, which is the second game of the day, yeah, I've got G2 winning, and that will probably keep them atop of this group. Don't get me wrong, I think it's going to be fairly close between EG and G2, because it just usually seems that way. But yeah, that's the end of the first 2 games. Let's move into our third matchup. And that third matchup is Paris Saint-Germain Talon taking on the Istanbul Wildcats. You know, PSG kind of are the favourites in this one for me, and personally, from experience, you just have to say that PSG are a very solid squad and should win this one. That's all I can say right now, and that's why I've gone with them winning here. RNG and Red Candice hit the Rift for a 4th game of the day, and you know, I'm gonna just say LPL dominance here, and that's why I've gone with RNG winning. Now we have a fairly interesting matchup as Saigon Buffalo take on Team Aces, and you may be wondering, why is this an interesting matchup? Well, this is statistically the battle for second, because let's be honest, T1 are winning this group, and you know, these 2 teams, it's a seed that's a pool 2 team that's second seed for their region, kind of going to struggle against a winner of a region who's pool 3, and then you also have DFM in the group. It's a fairly close group, honestly, if you take T1 out of the equation. So when you see these two teams face off, you can kind of see where I'm swaying to. Whomst is gonna win each of the groups. Now, I have gone here with a Team A's win. I'm not sure why, other than team strength, but the PCS or the VCS, I forget which one it is, the Vietnamese, because Gigabyte Marines aren't competing, region tend to do fairly well in terms of upset wins, and I personally cannot wait to see them on the Rift. But with that, we move into our last matchup. And that last matchup for day 3 is T1 versus DFM. It rounds out that group, and I personally feel that this matchup is T1 favored, and I honestly like this matchup a hell of a lot because it's Japan versus China, and Japan as a region have slowly and surely been improving, and so when they come into this one against T1, there's a lot of interest for me. And granted, T1 are winning. That's my prediction. It's going to be a faker stomp game, and we get to party across the Rift like it's 1972. I don't know where I'm going. But yeah, T1 are winning this, and we head into our second round robin with some fairly interesting groups, to say the least. So, like every group stage, there is set days for set groups, and day 4 is literally the group that features PSG, Red Candice, Istanbul Wildcats, and RNG. So let's get into these predictions in a rapid sort of fashion. We'll start with the first game, which is PSG, Red Candice. I have gone with PSG. RNG, Istanbul Wildcats is the second game. Believe it or not, I have gone with the Istanbul Wildcats as a shock horror sort of take a game off of a Chinese team as a, thing that would tend to happen. Istanbul Wildcats return to the stage for back-to-back games as they take on PSG. Spoiler alert, I have gone with PSG. Red Candice take on RNG next, and I have gone with the Royal Never Give Up squad. Picking up that one, Red Candice versus Istanbul Wildcats. I have gone with the Reddest of Candice as the winners. Last game to finish out Group 4 is a very spicy game as PSG take on RNG. I have gone with Royal Never Give Up taking that matchup. Day number 5 is kicked off with our match of the week as Evil Geniuses take on Gamers 2 or G2. It is the West doing battle, and I've picked this one out because it is probably the freshest of this matchup that we're gonna get. Even though day 2 starts with this, I feel this is the more do or die matchup for Group 2, for their group I should say, and its focal points are G2's Caps and Yankos being able to dominate the map. Will they facilitate top? It's all about what style G2 decides to play. They're in a group stage that's very repetitive for them because they face the same teams over and over, so it allows a bit more flexibility in what they play. They can do whatever, and I honestly feel this is the spiciest of the matchups. I know it's hard to predict which one's going to have the fireworks of all, I believe it's 5 matches that they face each other in. I'm not too sure, but this group for day 5 is very repetitive, and the results that you will see probably won't be, because that's just how a 3-team group tends to go. So let's go through the rest of day 5. EG stay on the Rift to face Order, and I have gone with an Evil Geniuses win. G2 then return to the Rift to face off against Order, who stay out, and I've gone with another G2 win. G2 stay out yet again to face EG, I've gone with an EG win, and then it's Order versus EG as they stay out, and they beat Order yet again, so another EG win. And finally, G2 Order rounds out the group. I've gone with an Order win, because by this point, G2 will have qualified for the next stage. And as such, I kind of expect Order to win here, because it'll be a silly, goofy game. The Australian lads tend to bring out the spice, and G2 probably will try to do the same here. Day 6 sees Team Aces versus Saigon Buffalo. Starting us off, I've gone with an Aces win. It is then followed up by the two other teams in this group, Detonation Focus Me and T1 doing battle. I've gone with T1 winning. Saigon Buffalo comes back to the Rift to face off against this team that stays out in Detonation Focus Me, whom I think are winning. T1 take on Aces now, and I've gone with a T1 win, followed by Aces versus DFM. I have gone with Detonation Focus Me, and Saigon Buffalo return to the Rift to face T1. I've gone with another T1 win to round out the group stages. And what a group stages this is going to be. You've got the West facing off, you've got no clash of big other regions other than, I would say, RNG and PSG doing battle. The rest of the regions like the LCK and the LPL don't avoid it. Basically, the LCK get a good group. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. And with that, I'll bid you all adieu. Thank you yet again to Space Rainbow or Akita-sen on Twitter or Instagram or wherever you want to find her, really, for making these new logos and helping me do the background motion and animation. I'm learning, and you can see it. So, with that, I bid you all adieu. Thank you very much for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a like down below. We've got the Rumble stage to come up after this to make predictions for, as well as the European Masters series breakdown of Carmen Corp and LDLC, and then obviously G2EG as the other one. So, I bid you all adieu. Peace out.